Platinum Secrets, the ultimate seduction guide for men. Learn how to attract high-value women and up your dating game. The 8 dating myths. Let's face it, dating sucks. It sucks to be rejected by hot girls, and it sucks to be alone. It sucks to be so nervous around a woman that you babble incoherently, and it is even worse to act like a stud and have her slap you in front of your buddies. To make matters worse, masturbation can get unsatisfying after a while, even with the best porn flick or sex toy. So what is the solution? Get out on a date, deal with the inevitable rejections, have fun, and learn about the machinery in your head that leads to trouble and failure with women. When it comes to dating, most men are intimidated by myths, misconceptions, and their denial of their power as men. But understanding the myths and the solutions will leave you free to flirt with and date women, and more importantly, to create the sex life you have always wanted. We've listed a few dating myths below that will begin to shed light on your most common dating troubles. So wake up, smell the coffee, pay attention, and you just may learn something. Because even if you act like a know-it-all, I know the truth. You don't. You have bought into some of these myths, and they have caused you trouble somewhere. Myth number 1: you have to be a rock star, millionaire, or athlete to get hot dates. Guys love to believe they don't have what it takes to get laid, and most men use their lack of success as an excuse for not dating and pursuing the women they want. These men blame the system, society, social issues, and economic realities for their lack of sex. Anyone but the man in the mirror. While being in a position of power or a rock star will get you a large pool of women to draw from, you too can get hot sex if you heed our advice. Here is the good news and the bad news. The good news: there are hot and sexy women available to you tonight. Most women are looking for a man like you, a normal guy with normal desires and a normal job. The bad news is, they want you to work to get them. Dating means flirting with women and initiating conversations with women. But you do have what it takes to get women once you understand what the game is. Once again, it comes down to pursuing women, just doing it. Here is the secret. Many models complain that they cannot get a date. Many claims that men are too scared to approach them because of their beauty. Be in the small cadre of studs that flirts with the women they are attracted to, and you'll be miles ahead of the pack. Myth number 2: just be nice and sensitive enough and you'll get a woman. This is another horrible myth promoted by what I like to call snags, sensitive new age guys. The belief that being nice will get you laid is one of the worst ideas promoted over the past 20 years. Women want to be seduced and romanced. Do you think they are looking for nice guys? Most men think if they like a woman and she says that you are sweet, interesting, or a wonderful friend, you are moving the relationship towards romance and sex. This is dead wrong. Women will put you into the category of friend or lover, but not both. When you are nice, only a woman will likely put you into the category of friend, but not a lover. If you don't believe this, just look around at all the jerks who have sex with hot women. Women are not having sex with these guys because they are intellectually stimulating. No, these women are hot and heavy because these men are exciting, romantic, fun, and even dangerous. The solution? Don't give up being interesting and nice. That too would be a fatal error. Just bring out other parts of your personality. Bring out the romantic and let that guide you into sweeping a woman off her feet. Put yourself in her position and figure out what would turn her on and excite her. If you spend time discussing fascinating topics, but not romantic ones, change the subject back to her beauty. Memorize poetry and whisper passages into her ear. Myth number 3: be a woman's therapist and you'll get sex. Along the same lines as being a nice guy, we've seen this myth played out time and time again by desperate fools trying to score. The ploy usually works this way. A horny guy is a friend of a woman he wants to date. He thinks that if she opens up to him emotionally, then it will likely lead to sex. He thinks that if he can solve her emotional problems, she will want to date him. But to his surprise, things pan out differently. Suddenly, she starts to discuss every problem in her life with him. The guy thinks this is good and listens more and more and more to her complaints. He thinks that the more he listens to her, the better the chances are of her going to bed with him. She starts crying on his shoulder more frequently, and he starts taking her out for ice cream and expensive dinners, and even loans her money when she becomes too depressed to work. Now it turns ugly. She begins telling him about her problems with other men. Our novice therapist stays in the role of advice giver. Eventually, she starts dating the jerks and coming to him for advice. Never be a therapist to a woman. The most important thing in dealing with a woman is to make your romantic interests known immediately so she thinks of you as a potential lover, not a friend. When you become a confidant to a woman, she begins to associate you with her negative emotions and negative experiences, putting you further out of the running for being her lover. If you are in this position with any woman, stop being the therapist today. You are wasting your time and avoiding being out in the world pursuing other women. Get out now while you still have a chance. Myth number 4, there are a limited number of available women. This is the type of myth promoted by whiners. They search for lame reasons why they can't meet women when in fact, there is no evidence anywhere to back up their claim. Does the high percentage of divorce and affairs justify this myth? No. Does the high number of singles, 82 million in the United States, prove that this is indeed a fact? No. Does a large number of personal ads reflect this to be true? No. That is why it is called a myth and simply unfounded. Enough said. Myth number 5, you're not attractive enough to get women. In their quieter moments, many men believe something is fundamentally wrong with them. They truly think some parts are indelibly flawed and women will reject them. To this, I say, you are wrong. After studying this topic exhaustively, I have noticed that neither the size of a man's belly nor even the size of his IQ has any bearing on his ability to get women. We've seen fat men with models, short men with sexy 21-year-olds, and guys so ugly that they look like they were beaten with a bag of quarters, cuddling with hot and sexy babes. I recently spotted an obese, 45-year-old guy flirting with every hot woman in a crowded bar. They stared into his eyes, fascinated and turned on by his confidence and wit. He made no apologies for his size or ugliness, and several women went for it. You can be a nerd with a pin protector and get tons of sex if you have the necessary confidence. No matter what you look like, women will want you if you demonstrate confidence. Myth number 6, getting women is too time-consuming or difficult. Guys complain to us all the time that getting women is as complex as brain surgery. But it need not be. There are simple skills you can learn and actions you can take today that will have you meeting women never like before. For instance, the easiest places to meet women are in bookstores, coffee shops, health clubs, and in restaurants. The trick is to go to these places at the same time regularly and then make friends with the regulars. Another trick is to list out organizations or groups you are part of in which there are women participants, and then go to at least 2 evening meetings per week. If you want to stay home, then you must play with personal ads the internet. Remember, learning any new skill takes time. But once you understand how and where to meet women, it will take less and less. After that, it is all maintenance. We've had students who worked 2 full-time jobs at once and still have time to date women. Myth 7, women know what they want, and they will tell you. Have you ever noticed that women will talk about the kind of man they want and end up with someone completely different? It happens all of the time. What women say they want and what they respond to are often totally different. Women can't tell you what they want in a man. They can only tell you what they think they want in a man. There is a big difference. The bottom line is that women love men who are generative and creative. If they have to tell you how to get them, what to be like, and how to behave every step of the way, they aren't going to be turned on by you. They also aren't attracted to supplicants, begging for the easy keys to melt their heart. It's your independent nature that gets them going, not your dependency on being told how to act. Besides, some of men's traits that women complain about most have in them the seeds of what women find most attractive about men. In the film The Full Monty, for example, a bunch of out-of-work male steelworkers decide to make money by putting on a strip show for all the local women. The plan has trouble written all over it. None of these guys are particularly great looking, but it speaks to a trait that women find both aggravating and attractive. Men are troublemakers. I take on silly projects, push them to their limits, and even sometimes make them work. This quality is part of the creativity that women desire so much in men. So if you count on women to tell you what they want and how to behave in order to get them, you short-circuit this wild nature that women love so much. Don't fall into that trap. Myth number 8: dating is supposed to be fair. This one myth gets men in more trouble than almost any of the others. If you are a man who whines about how dating isn't fair, you must stop that right now. I hear it all the time. Why can't a woman ask me out for once? If women really believed in equality, they'd kiss me first. I'm tired of doing all the pursuit with women. It's their turn now. Blah, blah, blah. If it makes you feel better, you're right. It is unfair that you have to do all the pursuing and that you have to take all the emotional risks by making all the first moves. We've even known men who've confronted women about their not pursuing men. One man made it a habit of confronting women who didn't do their fair share of the pursuit. He'd tell them in no uncertain terms that if they wanted to date him, they'd have to do at least half of the initiating, the pursuit, and the emotional risk-taking. It's the age of equality, he would explain to them. You get equal rights, so now take equal responsibilities. As you can probably guess, he didn't have many second dates. The solution? Get over it. If you don't have the sex life you want, it's your responsibility to get it. It is not women's responsibility to take care of you and ensure you have what you want. In relationships, expecting them to do so is just immature. Use these myths to propel your own seductive desires into full gear. These techniques have been time-tested and have produced wonderful results for men worldwide. So stay aware of the myths and you'll be able to create the abundant sex life you're always wanted. The 5 levels of seducers. We've discovered that there are 5 levels of seducers. It's important to know which level you are operating from so you can assess yourself and move forward. Many men think they are operating at a higher level than they are. Once you can be honest about where you operate from, you can begin to make changes. Level 1. The Hoper. This man does nothing and lives in hope that someday he'll meet a woman who will want him. He's been so demoralized by his interaction with women that he can do nothing but wait helplessly. Most of the time, this man ends up alone. Level 2. The Occasional Trier. This man tries something to meet women every few weeks or months, but gets easily demoralized and gives up, only to try again a few weeks or a few months later. Given infinite time, this approach would work. Given one lifetime, it's totally relying on luck, and the odds are against you. Level 3A. The Studier. This man studies seduction, reads all the books, and perhaps argues about it online or with dating coaches, but he never is able to get himself to take action. His need to get it right and to have his interactions with women work perfectly the first time he tries them leads him to continuously study to perfect his technique while never taking action or risking rejection or failure with a real-world woman. His need to study until he can do it perfectly stops this man in his tracks. Level 3B. The Quick Fixer. This man is looking for a quick fix to his dating problems. He's taken in by anything that offers him irresistible attraction to women with no real work involved. He empties his wallet on pheromone-scented cologne, subliminal seduction tapes, or techniques which promise to teach him how to bamboozle women and make them into sex slaves in 5 minutes or less. He often lives in some past glory of the time his quick fix approach to seduction actually worked. He keeps looking for the next quick fix that will at last make him effortlessly irresistible to the women of his dreams. The Level 3 seducer also sees success and failure in a very black and white way. Either he got sex tonight, or he was a total failure. He's unable to celebrate the successes he has which move him on his way to becoming a successful seducer. He's not willing to feel good about moving a seduction forward in small steps. He's not able to feel good about his failures or to receive the learning that he could get from seductions that don't end in sex. His need to find a quick fix leaves him unwilling to do the long-term work it takes to become a successful seducer. Level 4. The man who works the fundamentals. The level 4 seducer understands something that levels 1 through 3 don't. He understands that the war in dating is not with women, with bad luck, or with the world. He understands that the war is in his head, with himself. This means the level 4 seducer understands that the world doesn't need to change. If he wants his world to be different, he needs to change. He understands that when it comes to dating, there is no quick fix, and that studying until you get it right before talking to women will always leave him in the cold, alone. The level 4 seducer understands that successfully seducing women is like any other long-term project. He understands that, at first, he will have to put a lot of energy into it and settle for small results until he gets better at it. He knows that at the beginning of learning any new skill there is a lot of work, and that the returns at first are small. He understands that returns get larger only as his skill level increases, and understands that will only happen with practice. The level 4 seducer understands the fundamentals of seduction and practices the fundamentals on a daily basis. He knows that only by mastering the fundamentals can he become a more effortless and effective seducer. He's willing to do the work to get the results. His motto might be, "I understand that if my world is to change, I must change. Just tell me what the work is to do, and I'll do it." He does the work, takes responsibility for all of it, doesn't expect women to generate anything, and gets the results. Level 5. The man's man. The level 5 seducer has integrated the fundamentals of seduction into his life so thoroughly that he no longer has to think about them. They are part of who he is as a man, and he has the relationships he wants with women and the sex life he wants. The level 5 seducer creates the life he wants on every level, either by generalizing the fundamentals of seduction to other areas of his life, or by discovering other fundamentals that he can master to give him the results he's after. The level 5 makes his life work for him and lives life on his own terms. The level 5 seducer has a life and an effect that makes women want to be around him. His life generates many opportunities to interact with women, and he's so good at seducing that women actually pursue him. You cannot be a level 5 seducer without mastering being a level 4 seducer. If you think you can be a level 5 without mastering the fundamentals as a level 4, you are actually a level 3 looking for a quick fix. Flirting. Flirting is not hard to do. It's not physically difficult to win or to look into a woman's eyes. But flirting can be challenging if you are not used to doing them. The successful level 4 or level 5 seducer shows his romantic interest right away through his flirting. You must learn to do this, too, or women will see you as a friend. These are just the basic moves. Conversational flirting, which is another realm of flirting entirely, is covered in the tape series, The Mastery Program. 1. Look into her eyes too long. This is simply holding eye contact a little bit longer than you normally would. While you are conversing with her, you want to be sure to have eye contact at least some of the time. At least once it's a good idea to hold the eye contact a little too long, just a fraction too long, so there's a brief, more intimate moment between you. 2. Make decisions easily. It's important to make sure that you make decisions easily. Remember your outcome, romantic feelings, and moving the seduction along. This means that making a decision quickly is more important than choosing the perfect type of coffee or taking the time to really think about whether you want cherry Danish or a plain one. By making decisions quickly, you show her that you are a decisive man who she won't have to take care of. 3. Wink at her. You can wink at someone from across the room or wink at someone during a conversation. If she says something funny or someone else does something silly, you can give a wink as a way of sharing a little moment for just the two of you, as if the two of you are in on some private joke no one else is aware of. 4. Check out her body. Checking out her body must be done properly. The goal is for your new friend to feel complimented that you noticed her body, not objectified like some piece of meat. You do this by making eye contact, then quickly, in less than a second, passing your eyes down and then up over her body, then back to looking in the eyes. It should happen quickly, and you should be unashamed of taking a glance. Just don't do it too often, 2 times during a coffee date. 4 instance is plenty. 5. Keep your body powerful. Women want to be with men who are engaged in their lives. You'll appear even more engaged if you sit, stand, and move like you are both fascinated and fascinating. As a bonus, moving as if you are totally engaged with and turned on by life will perk you up and give you more energy for the interaction. 6. Compliment her. You want to cultivate complimenting her as a potential lover, not as a tepid friend. Let's talk briefly about the difference. A man who is destined to be a woman's friend compliments her by saying something like, "You have a very nice briefcase." The compliment doesn't show that he is interested in her romantically or that he notices anything romantic about her. Put another way, it's a compliment another woman might give to her. If you compliment a woman that another woman might give her, you might as well be another woman, striking up a casual friendship. You want to make it clear that you are a man who is noticing her as a woman, rather than an amorphous blob of undefined protoplasm who might as well be another woman talking to her. A man who is committed to being seen as a potential lover gives compliments that show that he notices her as a woman. Rather than saying, "You have a nice briefcase," he'll say something like, "You have beautiful eyes," or "Your smile is so beautiful, it lights up the room." At first, it may be uncomfortable for you to compliment her. That is okay. Keep going, keep taking the risk, and up the passion in your compliments. Yes, you are risking rejection, but that's good. Remember the rejection process, and remember to celebrate your victories. 7. Whisper to her/lean into her space. Whispering to her doesn't mean you have to get all the way up to her ear. It may be too early in your interaction with her to get that close, but you can lean into her space and lower the volume of your voice to share something with her. Where to find single women? When I coach guys, I concentrate on 3 things. First, throughout, that is getting a lot of women. Through your system, in front of you, and somewhere on your personal seduction spectrum. Second, I focus on technology. That is, knowing what to say and what to do when those women are in front of you. Third, I focus on the internal blocks and resistance that makes it hard to implement the first 2 parts of the program. Where do I meet women is a question of throughput. If you aren't coming into contact with lots of women regularly, you aren't going to be able to practice your seduction skills and won't get women. It's hard to generate a romantic contact out of an interaction you create by going up to a woman on the street. It's possible, but it's hard. To make life easier, you need to find niches. A niche is a place that you have found that pretty reliably puts eligible, attractive women in front of you. A skilled fisherman, for instance, doesn't just throw his line in anywhere in a lake. He knows where the best fishing holes are, and that's where he goes. If one fishing hole isn't ing, he has another and another to try. He's also always on the lookout for new fishing holes, too. He wants his life to be easy. He'll find the places where the fish he wants tend to bite, and that's where he'll spend his time. You must find your own personal fishing holes, your own niches for meeting women. A niche is an event you can go to that ideally does 3 things. 1. Puts women in front of you. If the yoga class, for instance, doesn't have any women in it, or any women you'd be attracted to, it's not a niche for you. You want the yoga class, if there is one, that has at least a few hot women in leotards. 2. Gives you an excuse to interact with these women. A dance concert is probably not a very good niche because it doesn't practically force interaction between the people there. You can go to the concert and not interact with any women, and they probably aren't expecting to be approached and spoken to. A dance class, however, could be a niche. The other students will have to interact with you during various exercises, and it wouldn't be unexpected if you were to talk with them. 3. It's an entry point into a community that includes women. The ideal niche is not just a one-off. It's a way to get involved with a group of people. The yoga class, for instance, and I are not recommending yoga classes above anything else. It's just an example. Could lead to getting involved in the yoga community, going to potlucks, and meeting fit, open-minded women. Going to a personal growth training could be an intro into other group activities where you get to meet and interact with women. New Age stuff can be a niche where you meet open-minded New Age girls and get involved in a community of people. A church may be such a niche for you that gets you into a community. Going dancing at 80s night at the local bar is not a niche the first time you do it, but it may become one if you become a regular and get to know the crowd there. Ditto for coffee shops or bookstores. Once you are regular in the 10 women who go there regularly have seen you again and again, you become safer in their minds, and it's less strange when you approach them. So what are some examples of niches? That will vary from man to man and area to area. We've posted a list of about 100 possible niches for you to explore. To find your niches, you'll need to make a habit of getting whatever weekly paper in your area has a social calendar and looking it over for events you could go to that meet at least 2 of. The 3 criteria for a niche. Then put several of them into your calendar. When the time comes, get off the couch and go to them. It may feel awkward the first few times you go to a new possible niche. After all, these people may know each other, and you may spend some time just drifting or feeling a bit left out. Just know that this is normal. Say hi to people, especially women, and make what conversation you can. Be patient, have some faith. It takes time for everyone to feel like they fit in when they explore a new community. Go for it. Find your niches, find your fishing holes, and meet women. 11. The dating basics. After a few weeks of studying the latest Get Laid Quick books and armed with a few splashes of pheromone-scented sex cologne, Steve was ready to pick up a woman. He approached the first hot-looking woman in the packed dance club. She seemed like a willing target and was gorgeous. Within a few seconds of eyeing her, Steve whipped out a proven to work every time pickup line. His first attempt was, "Your father must have been a criminal because he stole all the stars in the skies and put them in your eyes." The sexy babe responded with a cold blank stare. Steve shrugged off the rejection and approached the next attractive woman who caught his eye. This time Steve tried a slightly different approach. He said, "Congratulations, you've been voted the most beautiful girl in this room, and the grand prize is a night with me." The woman became angry and slapped Steve, and then told him to leave her alone. Are you tired of face slaps, expensive and overrated call girls, lonely nights with your right hand, and phone sex bills that induce your next heart attack? Unless you are a millionaire, a rock star, a professional athlete, or just damn lucky, you probably need help. Lots of it. Learning the art of seduction begins with the ability to create romantic conversations, the freedom to flirt, confidence, and a command of language. Shakespeare was lucky enough to have all 4. Casanova and Don Juan were able to capture scads of women's hearts and bodies by the power of their words, body language, romantic skills, and their sheer animal magnetism. You must examine is how quickly you must move with a woman and how far you need to push things. We found that when meeting a woman for the first time, you generally find yourself in one of 3 situations. You have days or weeks to seduce the woman, you have a few hours to seduce the woman, or you only have a few minutes to seduce the woman. With each situation, you need to create a different game plan and to take different amounts of risk. It takes more guts to ask a woman out after only knowing her for 2 minutes than it is to ask out a woman you've known for months. Here is an overview of the 3 situations. Situation 1. You have days or weeks to seduce the woman. In this situation, you have time to seduce the woman. A few examples include a waitress, grocery store checkout girl, cashier, or a woman who works out at your gym. In this situation, you know where they work, or you have some excuse to run into her again. You can then strategize to bump into her again and keep building the seduction over time. Situation 2. You only have a few hours to seduce the woman. A few examples include meeting a woman at a party, meeting a woman at a bar, talking to a woman on a train ride, or any other situation where time is not on your side. These situations require you to work quickly to win her over. The master seducer will use the lack of time to move through the stages of seduction rapidly. 12. Situation 3. You only have a few minutes to seduce the woman. In these situations, the woman will be gone unless you say something and make your move. You need to move quickly. A few examples are meeting a woman in a line, talking to a woman at a nearby table at a coffee shop, or talking to a woman in a store. These situations require you to develop rapport and trust quickly. In situations where there is very little time, you need to take a larger risk and have the guts to ask for her phone number, her email address, or set up a date right then and there. You must also understand the various stages of creating rapport, that is, a good feeling, connection, with a woman. Here is a brief outline of the stages you will likely go through on the way to having sex. At each stage, it is important to keep focused on the outcome to keep moving to the next stage. Here is an overview of the stages of rapport. Study these and apply them in any dating situation with a woman. By having a clear understanding of these stages, you can easily determine which stage you are at and how to move to the next stage. Stage 1. Breaking the ice, small talk, and getting to know each other. Stage 2. Establishing trust and experiencing some good feelings together. Stage 3. Develop romantic/sensual feelings, having her consider you a potential lover. Stage 4. Some form of physical touch, kissing, or hand-holding. Stage 5. Either setting up the next date or intense sexual connection. With the information on the different stages of dating, as well as an understanding of the 3 different situations, you can now start to construct a more thorough approach. But to really succeed, you must also remember that dating is a numbers game. Being persistent is the most important thing you can do. Date and approach as many women as possible. It is your job to break down your own shyness and your resistance to being successful with women. The master seducer is persistent and stays on course to his goal. If you take on this attitude and act accordingly, you will be successful. Flirting with humor. Remember this. You want to make women laugh. If you can make a girl laugh as she isn't laughing at your expense, then you are delighting her, and she'll want to see you again. However, as most men know, women often find different things funny than men do. It's easy to misuse humor with women and to frighten and offend them instead. With that in mind, here's a list of do's for flirting with humor. 1. Do make creative misinterpretations. When you approach a woman, you've got to be alert and open your eyes. Look for the details in her appearance or in what she is doing that you can safely make jokes about. You do this by putting a new spin on something normal. When Bruce asks the bank teller, "Do you get to keep a percentage of all the money you take in each day?" He's creatively misinterpreting something in her environment and using it to flirt. When he asks if she gets to keep a percentage, he's being silly in a way she can relate to. It gives them a joke to talk about that and creates a separate little world for them together. Similarly, when Frank jokes to the girl at the Heath food store who always wears army fatigues about being a major in the army, he's taking something at hand and creatively misinterpreting it, recasting it as something they can joke and flirt about. Every time he sees her, they return to this joke, and she feels more comfortable with him each time. You should try to make your misinterpretations complimentary to her. For example, misinterpreting the woman collecting the money as you leave a parking garage as the parking goddess would be more effective than misinterpreting her as, say, a trash collector who got lucky and got her current job. The first is a joke. The second is an insult. Keep track of the difference. 2. Do smile and say hi. Your facial expression is an important part of your behavior. When you approach a woman to flirt, it's best to be relaxed and to smile, make eye contact, and say hi. Too many men approach flirting in a non-playful manner. They are resentful about having to do it, or are indulging a bad mood. They don't look relaxed and they don't sound relaxed. As I said in Chapter 3, you must overcome adolescent posture. It may be necessary for you to get some body work or to take some yoga classes if you habitually radiate tension. When you are relaxed and approach a woman, she sees it on her face and in your eyes. 3. Do ask them about things they know. Work-related questions are good, as are questions about personal appearance. As discussed later, one good line is, "What's the story behind that?" If, for instance, she is wearing an unusual necklace, you might say, "What a beautiful necklace you are wearing. What's the story behind it?" 14. 4. Do ask questions. Along the same lines, it's a good idea to ask questions. After all, you want to learn about her, and asking the right questions can give you important information. It's not an interrogation, so don't badger her with questions, but do inquire about what she cares about. For example, if she's holding a flower, ask her about it. "That rose you are holding is beautiful. Why did you pick roses? How do roses make you feel?" Or you could ask, "Why do you think women love flowers?" Either way, you are engaging her through your questions in a conversation that is about her likes, her dislikes, and her feelings. That's the kind of conversation that could become more romantic later on. 5. Do describe feelings for her. Your goal in flirting is to get her to think romantic thoughts about you and to want to act on those thoughts. To do this, you must describe romantic feelings. Have you ever been with someone who was describing something disgusting? Perhaps a friend had been sick and later described to you in intimate detail every step and every nuance of how it felt to be about to throw up. Can you remember how you felt as he described his sickness? Did you start to get sick, too? Or have you ever wished someone would stop describing some horrible event or accident because you were starting to feel how it must have felt? You probably have. These people have used a simple principle on you that to describe a feeling to someone makes them experience that feeling. That's why you feel sick when your friend describes getting ill, or you feel queasy when someone talks about a disgusting accident. To flirt successfully, you absolutely must take advantage of this principle, only in reverse. You must describe the feelings you want her to have: romance, attraction, arousal, in lush and lavish detail. As you describe these feelings, she'll start to have them. The principle is simple. When someone describes something to you, you must imagine it to be able to understand what they are talking about. If I'm describing my new car to you and tell you that it's a minivan and it's blue, you can't help but imagine it. Even if I tell you not to imagine something, you have to imagine it to know what not to think about. If I tell you not to imagine a minivan, you must think of one, so you know what thought to avoid. The same thing happens when you describe a feeling to a woman. Whether she wants to feel the feeling you are describing or not, she must feel it even to know what you are talking about. The extent to which she feels it is dependent on how well you describe the feeling. For instance, Sven is talking to the attractive young woman behind the pastry counter. "I can imagine you must feel so great and special behind the counter, goddess of the whole store, and people come to worship you," he says to her. Those great feelings of people coming to see you must really make you feel wonderful. He's playfully described feelings of specialness to her. And if she is to evaluate what he's talking about at all, she must go inside and feel those feelings. As she feels those feelings while looking at Sven, she starts to connect his visits to her store with feeling those special feelings. In time, this will lead her to naturally feel attracted to him. Poets are the get-laid kings of all time. Reading poetry is a wonderful way to learn how to make beautiful and detailed descriptions on romantic things. After all, 99% of poetry is about 15. Love. If you look at most any romantic poetry, you'll find it's made up of descriptions of romantic, loving feelings. Romance novels are much the same way. They are unending streams of descriptions of romantic feelings. Learn to speak romantically by describing romantic feelings, and you will be much more successful with women. 6. Do be confident that your joking is okay. One of the top flirting mistakes men make is waiting for the woman to be comfortable with the flirting before they become comfortable with it. I can't emphasize this enough. When a woman first meets you, she is trying to decide if you are dangerous or not. If you are uncertain and hesitant, you come across as though you, too, are afraid that you are dangerous. You act as though you are scared of yourself, and she will become scared, too. You must decide to have certainty that you are not hurting her, are not a threat to her. and that your flirting is fun and relaxed for you both. If you feel scared, uncertain, and worried about your flirting until she seems relaxed, she'll never relax. If you are hesitant about your joking until she laughs, she'll never laugh. She'll be too scared by how worried you are. Pete has this problem. He tries to flirt, but to him it is such a big deal and he's so afraid that he's going to scare his prospect away that he's a big ball of tension. When he talked to Natalie, the receptionist at his dentist's when he goes to get his teeth cleaned, he was as frightened as a cornered mouse. He had to work himself up to talking to her, and his heart was pounding. He kept asking himself, what if she doesn't like me? And worrying about potential rejection. So, I guess a lot of people get hurt here. He jokes with her, his jaw muscles throbbing with tension. She just stares at him, wondering what kind of a psycho he is. He notices her fear and becomes more upset himself. I mean, that's a joke, he says weakly. Oh heck, when's my appointment? His fear and his need for her to not be afraid of him makes him fail with the receptionist, as he does with all women. Now let's look at how Bruce handles the same situation. When he sees Natalie, he knows he desires her and knows that she may or may not be induced to desire him. He knows that she may not respond to him and doesn't care. Bruce has decided that his joking is fine and is certain that he is charming even if she doesn't think so. When he walks up to talk to her, he is smiling and relaxed, radiating confidence rather than tension. So, you are the guardian of this ad. Evil place, eh? He says to her in a laughing way. She looks at him to decide if he's a threat, but he's so relaxed and seems so certain that everything is fine that she decides to laugh in response. Oh yes, I'm the guardian, all right, she says. He continues in his confident, joking manner. How could I persuade you to put a spell on me to keep me from harm here? In fact, I think I can feel you putting a spell on me already. You are bewitching me, Natalie, he says, reading her name off her name tag. She laughs at his joking. Now I feel like I can go in there, protected by the spell you have me under. I'll just say to the dentist, the beautiful and charming Natalie put me under a protective spell. How do you think that will work? You can try it, she responds, laughing. But I'd still take the Novocaine. Oh, I don't need painkillers after seeing you, he comes back. Have you ever had the feeling of meeting someone, and it's like your heart can only feel good feelings? 16. Can feel no pain? After meeting you, I'm sure I won't need anything else. She blushes. Well, thank you. Bruce made this interaction work because he was certain that it would work. If he approached uncertain, like Pete did, and waited for Natalie to give him approval before he allowed himself to relax, he'd have the same failure Pete has. Because he's not waiting for her to feel good for him to feel good, he's able to create the good feelings for them both. In the above example, Bruce doesn't only make Natalie laugh, he also uses their flirting to let her know that he finds her beautiful and charming. He does this by slipping in the occasional compliment, sideways. When he says, I'll just say to the dentist, the beautiful and charming Natalie put me under a protective spell, he's telling her that she is beautiful and charming, and that he's thinking of her as more than just a friend. By doing this, he makes her chose what category to put him in, friend or potential lover. If she keeps flirting with him after he says these romantic things about her, then she's accepting the fact that he's a potential lover. Only if she rejects his compliments will she be able to think of him as just another lowly male friend. But because she's having so much fun flirting with him, she's unlikely to reject his compliments. By being romantic with his humor, he puts himself on the inside track for being her lover. When you look at how Bruce flirts with Natalie, you can see how she would have a hard time thinking of him as just a friend. Because of the romantic quality of his flirting, you too can do this if you show your romantic interest as you flirt. 17. The dirty half dozen. 6 favorite female attacks and how to guard against them. How many of these women have you dated? Crybaby. Her motto, wah. The trap. She makes you feel so guilty that you make promises you can't keep just to stop her crying. She knows the power of tears. Unfortunately, So do you. The solution: wait her out. They are only tears, not bullets. Let her wail all she wants. You're there while she's wearing herself out. Being compassionate means being there for her, not caving into what she wants. Making promises you can't keep doesn't make you a better man. Being yourself, even if she disapproves, and still being there for her is strong, manly stuff. Old Yeller. Her motto: fuck you. The trap: you live in fear of her rages. Or, you shout back and have useless fights with her. The solution: don't fight back. Don't feed the fire. Understand what she's saying. Tell her you see she is angry. Slow things down. Make specific requests of her. Pin her down on one thing at a time. And make specific small promises you can keep. The illogical manipulator. Her motto: I'll be irrational and drive you nuts, then accuse you of being irrational and therefore wrong. The trap: you argue with her crazy, illogical arguments, then to go insane, which she then uses as proof that you must be wrong. The solution: she needs to be right, so tell her when she's right, even if it kills you. Arguing with her point for point is useless. She isn't logical. She uses what she calls logic to wear you down. Her goal? To make you flip out or give up. Admit that you are irrational by saying, sorry, but that's just the way I feel. That gets you out of her accusation that you are irrational. Keep staying with what you want. Keep the mantra, this is the way I feel, what can I do about it? Eventually she'll calm down. But logic and rationality never works here. Only clear, simple persistence. She needs to be right and in control. Give her that as much as you can while maintaining clarity about what you want. The shaming feminist. Her motto: this is what men have been doing to women for thousands of years. 18. The trap. You'll feel guilty and ashamed about being a guy, and do whatever she wants to get her to back off. The solution: refuse to feel ashamed of what other men might have done to other women. Be proud of being a man. Remember how noble men are. Don't argue on her terms. Keep bringing the conversation back to specific events between the two of you, not some historical smorgasbord of male crimes that you had nothing to do with. The victim. Her motto: you just don't understand how hard it is to be me. The trap. She whines more than is humanly possible. She can't see that she is totally committed to being helpless. You try to help and suddenly you don't understand and aren't on her side. After all, the universe is against her. The solution: don't try to fix her problems. Let her learn her own lessons and realize that there is nothing you can do to make her handle things the right way, which is how you would handle them. The bedtime brawler. Her motto: are you asleep? There's something I need to talk about. Fill in the blank. The trap. Ending up in a horrible, middle-of-the-night fight. The solution: listen without fixing. Apologize if appropriate. Put her off till later. Give in on small stuff. Make promises you can keep. Show emotional vulnerability and ask to be held without talking. 19. Pick up lines you should never use. 1. Hi, I may not be Fred Flintstone, but I'd certainly like to make your bed rock. 2. Would you believe me if I told you I'm an angel and God sent me down here on a special mission just to give you a kiss? 3. Let's do breakfast tomorrow. Should I call you or nudge you? 4. If I could rewrite the alphabet, I would put you between F and CK. 5. You look yummy. You must bring new meaning to the word edible. 6. Nice shoes. Do you want to fuck? 7. I've heard that sex is a killer. Do you want to die happy? 8. I would like you to attend my party, and then I can also invite your pants to come down. 9. Hi, my name's your name. Remember it. You'll be screaming it later tonight. 10. Hey baby, are you wearing your space underwear tonight? Because your ass is out of this world. 11. Did heaven lose a couple of angels? 'Cause I can see them bouncing around in your shirt. 12. Hey sexy, how would you like to join me in doing some math? Let's add you and me, subtract our clothes, divide your legs, and then multiply. 13. Hi, your outfit looks really cute, but it would look even cuter wrinkled up on my floor. 14. Hi, let me interrupt you for a moment. The word of the day is legs. Let's go back to my place and spread the word. 15. Hi, do you got a little Irish, German, Spanish, Italian / etc. in you? Do you want some? 16. Want to come see my hard drive? I promise it isn't 3.5 inches and it ain't floppy. 17. I'm an organ donor and I have an organ you might need. 18. Gorgeous hair, but it'd be even better brushing against my thighs. 19. Want to play carnival? That's where you sit on my face and I try to guess your weight. 20. 20. If I could rewrite the alphabet, I would put you and I together. 21. There must be something wrong with my eyes. I can't take them off you. 22. Do you have a map? I just keep on getting lost in your eyes. 23. I looked up the word beautiful in the thesaurus today, and your name was included. 24. Excuse me, can you give me directions to your heart? 25. Pardon me, but what pickup line works best with you? 26. Excuse me, do you have a quarter I can borrow? I told my mother that I would call her when I fell in love with the girl of my dreams. 27. This is your lucky day, because I just happen to be single. 28. Hi, the voices in my head told me to come over and talk to you. 29. I lost my phone number. Can I borrow yours? 30. Congratulations. You've been voted most beautiful girl in this room, and the grand prize is a night with me. 31. Are you religious? Because I'm the answer to your prayers. 32. Are your legs tired? Because you've been running through my mind all day. 33. Is your dad a baker? Because you sure have got great buns. 34. Was you father an alien? Because there's nothing else like you on earth. The best pickup line of all time. I often get asked, what is the best pickup line or opening line? Here it is, hello. According to a University of Chicago study, this is the best opening line there is, followed by, how do you like the band? But only if a band is, in fact, playing all the cutsy lines you've heard. Can I borrow your cell phone? I want to call heaven and tell them I found the missing angel. Don't work any better, and usually work quite a bit worse. Even if the cutsy line does work, you are still left with the same basic problem. Here's a human being in front of me. What do I say? Hi works the best at getting you to that point. After that, you need to know how to flirt.